The Galactic Council Hall was full. Thousands of alien eyes watched the great arena below. The floor of the arena was silver metal, shining under bright lights. In the middle stood one figure in dark combat armor, Captain Elias Kane. He was the only human here. Around him, 3 alien warriors waited. Each was bigger than him, stronger in muscle, armed with long, deadly weapons. The air was heavy with noise. Some aliens shouted in their own languages, some laughed. Alien in the front row clicked its mandibles together and said to its neighbor, "This will be quick." "Humans are slow," another alien with blue skin replied. "They are fragile creatures. This will be over in less than a minute." Kane heard the noise but did not react. His helmet visor was open, showing calm brown eyes. He did not raise his weapon. He stood perfectly still, breathing slowly. The 3 alien champions moved around him, trying to intimidate. Their heavy boots made loud thuds on the arena floor. Kane's boots stayed quiet. A deep voice echoed across the arena from the announcers stand. Combat trial begins in 5, 4, 3. The crowd leaned forward. 2, 1. Fight. The first alien, a tall reptilian with black scales, roared and rushed forward. Its weapon, a glowing spear, swung at Kane's head. The speed was fast enough to break bones. But Kane did not block, and he did not step back. In a blink, his body blurred. To the crowd, it looked as if he vanished. Gasps echoed around the hall. The reptilian's momentum carried it forward, stumbling. A loud metallic clang followed. The reptilian's spear fell to the floor. The alien collapsed next to it completely. Unconscious, no one saw the strike. Not even the cameras on the arena walls caught it clearly. It was just a smear of motion. Whispers ran through the crowd. What happened? Did he teleport? No, that's impossible. Even? The council members at their high seats leaned forward. The second alien, four-armed brute with thick armor, hesitated. Pride and rage filled its face. "Trick," it shouted, and charged with both upper arms swinging heavy axes. Kane turned his head slightly as if bored. The moment the axes came close, he moved another blur, another sound like a short gust of wind. The alien froze mid-step. Both axes slipped from its hands. Then its knees buckled, and it dropped to the ground, breathing heavily but unable to rise. No blood, no visible wound. But the brute could not stand. The crowd was no longer laughing. The noise changed confused murmurs, uneasy glances. Even alien predators, creatures born for war, looked unsettled. Kane lowered his weapon again. His voice was calm, steady, and cold. 2 down. The last alien champion, a tall figure covered in dark fur, stayed where it was. Sharp teeth were bared, but its body did not move forward. It glanced at the 2 fallen fighters, then back at Kane. Its grip on its curved blade tightened. Then, slowly, it stepped back. In the council box, one of the elders slammed a clawed hand on the table. "Continue the match. The last one fights." Furry alien shook its head. "I will not." "You will," the elder said sharply. "Combat protocol demands it." The alien in the arena trembled. It was not fear of pain, it was something deeper, something older. Kane took a slow step forward. His eyes locked with the aliens, and for a moment, the crowd felt as if the temperature in the arena dropped. Kane's calm expression stayed. But there was something else now in the way he moved, something that spoke of speed, adbra, precision, and danger far beyond normal combat. The furry alien's throat tightened. The council members could see it on the big screens. The alien's breathing had doubled, its pulse visible in its neck. Kane raised his weapon not in anger, but in warning. "Your choice," he said softly. The alien tried to reply, but no words came. It lifted its curved blade anyway. Kane's eyes narrowed. He moved once, a clean strike, yet the blade in the alien's hand did not fall to the ground as expected. Instead, it glowed red for a moment and melted, metal dripping onto the floor. The alien staggered back, staring at its empty hand. Not a single drop of blood was drawn, yet the weapon was gone. Destroyed as if it had touched the heart of a star. The arena went silent. No cheers, no laughter, just quiet shock. The council elders whispered to each other, their voices tense. "That's not human tech," one said. "It can't be." Another replied, "No species can melt an alloy weapon like that without a power tool. This is something else." Kane stepped back, weapon lowered again, and looked up at the council seats. He didn't speak, but his gaze held steady. It was the look of a man who knew something they didn't and would not explain it here. Announcer's voice finally broke the silence. "Combat trial completed." But even as the words echoed, no one in the audience moved. Every alien in the hall was thinking the same thing. If a single human could do this, what else could humans do? And in the far shadows of the arena, where the lights didn't reach, someone was watching Kane very closely, not cheering, not speaking, just watching, because the fight was over. But the real game was only beginning. The Galactic Council's private chambers were in chaos. Screens replayed the fight from every possible angle, slowed down frame by frame. Yet even at the lowest speed, the humans' movements were blurred. There was no clear strike. No visible contact. Council members argued over each other's voices. He vanished. "No, the cameras missed the moment. No, look here. Here's." Arm moved too fast for any known species. "This is unnatural. This is dangerous." Meanwhile, in the arena, Captain Elias Kane stood in the same spot, helmet still open, his breathing calm. Around him, medical drones carried away the 3 alien champions. The first 2 still lay unconscious, their weapons discarded. The last one, the furry warrior, refused to look at Kane, staring at the melted remains of its blade instead. An alien guard approached Kane, speaking in a cold, formal voice. "Will remain in position until further orders." Kane didn't answer. His eyes scanned the crowd above, noticing who was watching him the closest. On the upper balcony, a pair of alien observers in black armor leaned forward, their faces hidden behind masks. One of them spoke quietly to the other. "I told you. He is one of them." In the council box, the presiding elder tapped his claws on the table. "The fight was too short. We have learned nothing of his limits. He must be tested further." The crowd's restless murmuring quieted when the elder stood. His voice boomed through the arena's speakers. "Captain Kane, the trial is not over. You'll face a new opponent, one more worthy." A low metallic rumble came from the far gate. The huge doors began to slide open. The air shimmered with heat and a massive shadow stepped forward. It was twice Kane's height, wrapped in thick armored plates. Its weapon a double-ended blade that glowed white-hot. The crowd gasped. This was no ordinary warrior. This was a council executioner, a fighter who had ended dozens of trials before they truly began. Even other aliens feared this kind of opponent. Kane tilted his head slightly as if sizing it up. He rested his weapon at his side. The executioner took a slow step forward, the sound of its armor scraping, echoing like thunder. The presiding elder's voice carried an edge of satisfaction. "Now we will see the truth of the human skill, and whether it is worth the council's concern." The executioner moved into the center of the arena, circling Kane. Heat shimmered around its weapon, distorting the air. Every alien in the stands leaned forward, expecting Kane to take a defensive stance. But he didn't. He just stood there, watching. His eyes fixed on the executioner's weapon, his breathing slow and steady. The executioner lunged. The ground shook with the force of its movement. Its weapon sliced downward in a deadly arc, and Kane vanished again. The crowd erupted into shouts, trying to follow the motion. For a heartbeat, the executioner froze mid-swing, its weapon stuck in the ground. Its head snapped to the side as Kane appeared just behind it, standing perfectly. Still, something clattered to the arena floor. The audience gasped when they realized it was the power core from the executioner's weapon, removed without breaking the casing. Still glowing faintly in the dust, the executioner stepped back in shock, its deadly blade now dark and useless. Kane finally spoke, his voice carrying through the entire arena. "You don't need to test me again." Up in the council box, the presiding elder's claws tightened on the table. This was no longer entertainment. This was something else, something the council had feared for a long time, and somewhere deep below the arena. In a dark room, far from the crowd's eyes, A silent figure watched the footage on a private screen. It spoke into a communicator in a language no one else in the galaxy understood. He's ready. The arena was nearly empty now. The crowd had been dismissed, but the tension in the air had not faded. Captain Elias Kane stood in the center, hands at his sides, while a ring of armed guards kept their weapons trained on him. The two unconscious. Alien champions had been taken to the med bay, and the furry warrior who refused to fight was gone. Only the council executioner remained, kneeling in silence, its weapon still useless without its power core. Above, the council elders whispered. Behind their tall desks, their words were low, but the tone carried across the chamber cold. Suspicious. And dangerous. He is too dangerous to keep free. He defeated the executioner without harm. Known species can do that, perhaps. He is not only human. Kane kept his face calm, but he was listening. He knew what came next. The council would not let him walk away. A deep, mechanical hum echoed from the far wall. A panel slid open, revealing a narrow steel platform that rose from below. On it stood a new figure taller than Kane, wrapped in ceremonial armor of red and silver. It held a long spear tipped with a crystal blade. The air shimmered faintly. Around it, the presiding elder stood. The combat trial continues. The last warrior will fight. Kane raised one eyebrow. His voice was steady. The fight is over. The elder's eyes narrowed. The council decides when it ends. The armored figure stepped forward. Kane noticed the way it moved, not like the earlier opponents. This one was cautious, precise, and its eyes never left his hands. It knew what happened before, and it would not make the same mistake. For a moment, both fighters stood in silence. Kane's fingers twitched slightly, a habit from old training days. The armored warrior's stance shifted in response, tightening its grip on the spear. Then the voice came not from the arena, not from the council box, but from the high speakers hidden in the walls. A female voice, cold and sharp, speaking. A language only Kane understood. Elias, don't kill this one. His eyes flickered for a fraction of a second, but his posture didn't change. The council members leaned forward. They noticed the hesitation. The armored warrior lunged, the crystal spear striking forward in a blur. Kane moved, but not with the same instant speed as before. Instead, he twisted aside, catching the shaft of the spear with one hand and pulling the warrior forward. The crowd would have expected him to strike the killing blow, but he didn't. Instead, he spun the weapon in his grip and planted its crystal tip into the floor. The ground beneath them glowed faintly before cooling again. The armored warrior stumbled back, confused. Up in the council box, the presiding elder stood. Why do you hesitate, human? Kane looked up, his voice cold. Because this fight is not mine. The silence that followed was heavier than before. The elder's claws tapped against the desk, sharp and slow. Then perhaps we should make it yours. From the shadowed corridors beneath the arena, heavy footsteps began to echo more than one set. Kane's eyes narrowed. Whoever was coming, it was not part of the trial, and far away. Deep in the council's hidden security rooms, a figure in black armor lowered their communicator. They had just given the signal. It was time to see what a human could really do. When the choice wasn't his anymore, the cold metal walls of the detention chamber hummed softly, a reminder that they were deep inside the council's central fortress. Captain Elias Kane sat in the middle of the room, wrists bound by silver cuffs that shimmered faintly with anti-tech energy. They weren't just restraints. They were designed to suppress nervous system speed. The council feared him enough to use their most advanced prison gear. 2 guards stood at the door, their weapons trained on him. Kane's expression stayed calm, but his eyes moved slowly, noting every detail: the angle of the door, the placement of the vents, the flicker in the wall lights. The door hissed open. A tall alien in crimson robes stepped in, its long neck bending to meet his eyes. It was High Inquisitor Varix, the council's chief interrogator. Known across the galaxy, Varix didn't waste words. You will tell us, Varix began, voice low but sharp, what technology you carry inside your body. You will tell us how you moved faster than our cameras could see. Kane didn't answer, simply leaned back in his chair. Varrix's eyes narrowed. We know humans do not possess this ability naturally. So you are either enhanced, or you are not human at all. The lights in the room flickered. Varrix paused, glancing up, then back at Kane. Speak now. Kane finally moved, tilting his head slightly. You think speed is my weapon? His voice was calm, almost bored. It's not. Before Varrix could respond, the lights cut out completely. The room went black for 3 seconds. Returned, there was someone else inside, a figure standing in the far corner. Dressed in black tactical gear, a hood shadowing their face. The guards spun toward the intruder, but the figure raised a small device. A pulse of blue light swept the room, and the guards collapsed without a sound. Varrix stepped back in shock. How? The hooded figure spoke. Voice sharp and familiar to Kane. You're late. Kane smirked slightly. Traffic.
Ice.
Claws twitched. Who are you? The hooded figure pulled back the hood, revealing a human woman with short dark hair and cold gray eyes. Agent Mara Voss, she said. Earth Intelligence. Black Section. Varrix's mouth tightened. Impossible. Humans are not members of the Council. They have no intelligence section. Mara ignored him and stepped to Kane, placing a small black disc on his cuffs. They dissolved instantly. We don't have much time, she said quietly. They've been watching Earth for a long time.
And they've been watching you even longer.
Kane stood, rubbing his wrists.
So this wasn't just about a combat
trial. No. Her eyes flicked to the Inquisitor. They know about Project Revenant. They know what you are. Brox's head snapped toward her. Project what? Mara stepped closer to Kane, ignoring the alien. We need to leave. Before they decide, the easiest way to solve this is to burn Earth out of the sky. The alarms began to scream through the building. A robotic voice echoed. Containment Protocol Omega. All human subjects are to be secured immediately. Kane looked at Mara. They're locking the place down. Her eyes were already on the door. Good. It means they're afraid. Tut. Move. And in the council command room, watching on a dozen screens. The presiding elder's voice was a whisper. If they escape, everything changes. The hallway outside the detention chamber was a storm of flashing red lights and blaring alarms. Alien guards rushed in every direction, weapons ready, their voices sharp with panic. Captain Elias Kane and Agent Mara Voss moved fast, keeping low, using the chaos as cover. Left, Mara said, glancing at a small wrist device. Kane followed without question, his steps almost silent despite the speed. They slipped behind a column as 2 insectoid soldiers passed by, clicking their mandibles nervously. They're scared, Kane said quietly. They should be, Mara replied. They think you're a weapon. Kane gave a small smirk. Her eyes didn't leave the corridor ahead, not yet. But you will be if this keeps going. They reached a heavy blast door, was locked, glowing with blue security lines. Mara pulled a thin black cable from her wrist device and pressed it to the panel. Sparks flickered. This is level 7 security, she said under her breath. They don't use it for prisoners. They use it for creatures. The lock clicked open. Kane raised an eyebrow but didn't comment. They slipped inside, sealing the door behind them. The new corridor was quieter, but the walls were different, smooth, almost organic, pulsing faintly with light. This isn't part of the main complex, Kane noted. No, Mara said. It's older. It's built before the council even existed. Kane studied the glowing walls as they moved. You've been here before? Mara didn't answer. A sudden metallic roar echoed down the hall. Kane froze, scanning the shadows. From the darkness ahead, a shape moved tall, insect-like, armored. In a way no living creature should be. Its eyes glowed red, and its arms ended in curved blades. That's not council security, Kane said. Mara's hand went to her weapon. No, that's a warden. They only wake them when something really dangerous gets loose. The warden moved fast, charging with a shriek that rattled the walls. Kane shoved Mara aside and stepped forward. His movements blurred again, even faster. then in the arena. In less than a heartbeat, he was behind the creature, one hand gripping the back of its armored neck. A sharp crack rang out. The warden's body went limp, falling to the ground in a heavy crash. Kane stood over it, breathing evenly, eyes colder than before. Mara stared at him. You didn't just move fast. You reacted before it attacked. Kane's jaw tightened. That's what Project Revenant does. She stepped closer. Then tell me, Kane, what are you now? Before he could answer, a deep vibration ran through the floor. Somewhere ahead, a door slammed open and heavy steps began to approach more. Then one set. They know we're here, Mara said. Kane glanced toward the dark corridor ahead. Good. Let's make them regret it. The corridor shook with the sound of approaching boots and alien war cries. Red emergency lights strobed against the metallic walls, casting moving shadows across Kane and Mara as they ran. Every turn felt tighter, every corner a trap waiting to spring. They're closing in, Mara said, checking the small holodisplay on her wrist. Blue Dot's council forces were converging from all sides. Kane didn't look worried. Good, they reached. A junction. 4 armored guards appeared from the left passage, weapons raised. Energy bolts sizzled through the air. Kane moved before Mara could even aim. He slid under the first blast, grabbed the nearest guard's arm, and twisted it sharply. The alien's weapon discharged harmlessly into the ceiling as Kane spun, disarming. Another with a single strike to the chest. 2 more guards turned to fire, but Kane was already there. One fell from a kick to the head. The other from a sharp elbow that sent him crashing into the wall. In less than 3 seconds, all 4 were down, weapons clattering to the floor. Mara lowered her pistol. Normal people would get tired. I'm not normal, Kane replied, already moving. They took the right passage, which opened into a large circular chamber. Screens lined the walls, each showing live security feeds of the facility. Kane froze when he saw one of the screens and overhead view of the arena where he'd fought earlier. The council elders were still there, but now they were speaking with tall figures in black, their faces completely hidden. Mara followed his gaze. You see them too. They're not council, Kane said. And they're not here for a trial. The speakers in the room crackled. The presiding elder's voice echoed through the chamber, calm but edged with menace. Captain Kane, Agent Voss, you cannot escape. Every door, every passage, every ship in this sector is under our control. Surrender now, and your planet will be spared. Mara muttered, That's a lie. Kane's eyes stayed locked on the screens. They think they've cornered us. He pointed to a corridor on one of the feeds, leading to a docking bay. That's our exit. They sprinted toward it. The walls vibrated as more troops closed. The sound of marching boots was like a drumbeat, faster, louder. At the final turn, a squad of elite guards blocked the way 10 of them, each carrying high-output plasma rifles. They fired in unison, the air glowing with deadly energy. Kane's body blurred again, but this time it was different. He wasn't just dodging, he was predicting. Every shot missed him by inches, as if he'd already seen where they would land. He moved between the guards like smoke, striking pressure points, flipping rifles, disabling each one with precision. In under a minute, all 10 lay unconscious on the floor. The only sound left was the hum of the docking bay doors sliding open. Mara stared at him. You didn't just fight them. You knew what they'd do before they moved. Kane gave a small nod. Revenant training rewires your nervous system. You don't react, you act, before the other person decides to attack. Mara stepped into the bay, eyes scanning the ships. Then let's act before the council decides to do something we can't fix. Kane followed her in, but before the doors closed, he looked back down the corridor, far at the other end. One of the black-armored figures from the council chamber was watching him silently. It didn't move. It didn't chase. It just raised one hand slowly. In a gesture that could have been a wave, Kane's voice was low. We're not done. The docking bay smelled of fuel and ozone. Rows of alien ships stood in their berths, sleek and curved like blades. But at the far end, one ship did not match the rest. Its sharp angles, steel plating, and black and gray paint marked it as unmistakably human. Mara stopped mid-step. That's impossible. Kane's eyes narrowed. It's not one of ours from the Council Registry. As they approached, the ship's rear hatch opened with a hiss. Armed soldiers in advanced Earth combat armor filed out, weapons lowered. But ready, their visors reflected the red alarm lights. The one in front stepped forward, removing his helmet. His short-cropped hair was streaked with gray, his expression steady and unreadable. "Captain Kane," the man said. "Welcome aboard." Kane frowned. "You're early?" The officer gave the hint of a smile. "You're late?" Mara glanced between them. "So this was planned?" The officer shook his head. "Not exactly. But Earth knew the Council wouldn't be able to resist testing you. We've been in orbit waiting for their mistake." Behind them, the heavy docking doors began to slide open again. Dozens of alien troops were pouring in, weapons raised. The ship's cannons swiveled toward them automatically, targeting systems. "Locking in, Council forces," the officer said calmly. "They'll hesitate to fire on you for now, but they won't hesitate to board us if they think they can take you alive." Kane stepped closer. "Then we don't give them the chance." The soldiers fell back toward the ship. Mara glanced over her shoulder as the Council troops advanced. "We can't outgun the whole station." Kane's expression didn't change. "We don't have to." Inside the ship, the corridors were narrow, every surface gleaming with human engineering. The air felt different, here familiar. Kane led Mara to the command deck, where holographic displays lit the walls. The officer followed them in. "The Council will want answers about what happened in the arena. They'll want to know how you moved the way you did. We'll let them." "Watch the footage, but not all of it." Kane raised an eyebrow. "You want them to see?" The officer leaned forward over the console. "They need to. Every species in that chamber thinks humans are just another minor race. You proved otherwise. Now we make sure they understand." Through the forward viewport, the vast curve of the Council station filled the stars. Dozens of alien warships hovered nearby, their lights blinking in silent warning. A direct battle would be suicide. The officer opened a secure channel. Broadcast. The edited combat trial to the Council. Focus on his speed. Restraint. Let them wonder what else he's capable of. Comes officer looked back. They'll know it's a message. "Exactly," the officer said, as the footage played. Across alien networks, the Council chamber erupted in argument. Some members demanded humans be banned from all galactic trials. Others whispered about alliances. But the presiding elder sat silent. His gaze locked on Kane's still image frozen on the screen. "This is not over," the elder muttered. On the Earthship's deck, Mara stood beside Kane. "You know they're going to come for you, for all of us." Kane's eyes stayed on the station ahead. "Good. We'll be ready." Behind them, the tactical displays flashed a new alert known. Ships detected at the system's edge. No transponders. No Council markings. Just black shapes moving silently toward them. The alert tone echoed through the command deck, sharp and urgent. Every holographic display shifted to a new image 3, massive ships, black as deep space, sliding into the system. No running lights, no visible weapons, no energy signature that human or alien sensors could identify. Mara leaned over the console. How are they even moving without engines showing? The comms officer shook his head. "Nothing matches our database. Not Council. Not any known faction." The Earth's officer's jaw tightened. "Put them on screen." The forward viewport filled with the image of the lead vessel. Its hull seemed to drink in the starlight, edges blurring against the darkness, like it wasn't entirely there. The design was wrong angles that hurt the eyes if you stared too long. Curves that seemed to shift when you looked away. Kane stood still, studying it. His expression changed just slightly. "I've seen that shape before." Mara turned to him sharply. "Where?" He didn't answer immediately. His eyes stayed on the strange vessel. "In the Revenant simulations, the ones they told me were theoretical." The black ship drifted closer, moving with impossible smoothness. Then, without warning, the comm system lit up. No static, no distortion. A voice spoke in perfect English. clear and steady, as if the speaker were in the room with them. Captain Elias Kane, your training is complete. The Council can't protect you from what's coming. The deck went silent. Even the hum of the ship's systems felt distant. The officer stepped forward. Identify yourself. The voice ignored him, speaking only to Kane. You will come with us. If you refuse, Earth burns.
Outside, the other two black ships shifted position, flanking the Earth vessel. The Council warships in the distance
began to turn, forming a loose perimeter, but none fired. Mara's hand tightened on her pistol. Can't fight them, Kane. Not here. Kane's gaze stayed locked on the black vessel. They were never here to fight. They were here to collect. The voice came again, softer this time. Decide quickly. We are patient, but not forever. The ship's lights dimmed as if something unseen was pulling the power away. On the screen, strange symbols began to appear, alien, but familiar. To Kane, he remembered them from the deepest levels of his training files, the ones marked classified, terminal. Mara glanced at him. You know what they are? Kane's jaw tightened. Yeah. He turned toward the viewport. They're the ones who made Revenant possible. And as the black ships loomed closer, the stars around them seemed to vanish. As if the universe itself was holding its breath. Fade to black.